Next up, the Spring MVC test framework. Who's actually heard of that? 3 people? 5 people? Okay. So if you're writing, or if you're using Spring and Spring MVC, I highly recommend that you check out the Spring MVC test framework that was introduced in 3.2, and it really simplifies how you unit test your annotation-driven controllers in Spring MVC. Now here, just as an example, make sure we're on the same page in terms of configuration. Basically what we consider state-of-the-art or the status quo if you're writing a new Spring application using Java-based annotation configuration. Here we have basically my bookadmin service implementing our bookadmin service interface, quite standard Java. And then here at the top, we're annotating that with that service to say this is a component, a Spring managed component, and specifically it is a service type component. And then within our, for our constructor, the way we provide our dependencies, so dependency injection with Spring, we're doing this with a standard annotation, @inject. You could, of course, use @autowired from Spring, and then having your dependencies injected by type. Then for things like declarative transaction management, declarative caching, those kind of things, you can use different sets of annotations. Here we have @transactional from Spring, saying basically that when this method is invoked, it should be run in a transaction. And actually, without seeing the import there, this could actually come from JavaX annotation transaction, which is a new annotation we'll talk a bit about later on. So that's the annotation-driven component model. And when we talk about configuration classes, we're talking about Java config as opposed to XML-based configuration. And here we see a standard class here, not implementing anything or extending anything, just annotated with that configuration. So that says this is a Spring component. Specifically, it is a configuration class, so it defines beans. And you declare your bean definitions with @bean annotated on methods, using the name of the method as the bean ID or bean name, and the return type as the type. Then you can just use any standard Java, anything you need to